time for another Coffee with Kilroy. So grab a cup of Joe or Java or whatever suits your fancy, and spend some time with me on Coffee with Kilroy to let's page through Bismarck Solitaire from Worthington Publishing. Now, I did a piece a week or so ago on Waterloo Solitaire, but this was the first in the new series from Worthington on doing book games, which are basically a war game in a book format. I believe, I'm not 100% certain on this, but I believe they went to this format due to some of the supply chain issues, and decided to convert this to a book format and for ease of distribution. And these are distributed through Amazon instead of trying to come up with all the components for these games. This was Bismarck Solitaire was the first in this Worthington series. Waterloo Solitaire, I think, was the second. I assume there might be more that will come. These are not the first. And here is the Waterloo Solitaire one, which I did a little bit of a page through on and talked a little bit about that. And since then I've played this, and I'll maybe talk a little bit about that. But as I was saying, that this is not the first in these kind of book game formats. I did a little piece on this, this year or a year ago. One page, World War II, Tank War in Ardennes, and I think there's others in this series. And then, if you want to go back to the I think this was done in the late 70s or early 80s, the Sandhurst War Games, or a book of Sandhurst War Games, where this had several games in it. It actually has 4 games in this format here. So this is not a new concept, but they haven't been done quite like this, where it is the one-page World War II. This one is more kind of a roll and write, where you're kind of rolling and making some choices. This one has some of that effect, but it's really more of this feels closer to one of those choose your or make the decisions or what if type scenarios, where you've got a layout of the Waterloo battlefield, and then you make you're going to make decisions based on these actions, and then the AI, these are all solitaire. The AI, you'll roll for the AI, and then it will react to you, and you can play either side depending on the scenario. So that's the Waterloo one. The Bismarck one, actually, which was the first in the series, really tries to recreate kind of the search. Historically, the Bismarck went out on a mission to wreak havoc on the Allies' convoys and shipping, and so it was a huge threat. And the Allies, mainly England, which had the Navy in the Atlantic, went on a huge mission to hunt, search and destroy, the Bismarck. It was a big aspect of the battle for the Atlantic in World War II. And so this game is really going to try to recreate that search and destroy. You're playing as the Bismarck, so you're trying to go out and find convoys, take them out, and then it depends on the mission. Some of these missions you're just trying to get back home. You went out on your mission and you're trying to get back home safely, but the Allies have ships that can intercept you. They have air, and depending on where you're at on the board, they might, depending on what the AI does, they might overlap with you. But let's take a quick look. These are done in landscape format, I guess, because it gives you. To me, the rules are kind of weird, but then it makes more sense when you look at the boards themselves, or the pages themselves, which serve as the board, because they're done in landscape, and that's easier to display the information. But this gives you the rules. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of rules. So not a ton of rules here. And then you've got an example of play, which is about 2 pages. And then it talks about a battle record here and how you mark off stuff. And then you have the different scenarios. So this is a training cruise here. Again, you're always the Bismarck, and this is the AI. And depending on what you're going to roll 2 dice, and 2 different color dice, preferably probably a white and a black to correspond with the charts up here. And it's going to tell you what the allies do. I mean, you're going to mark where you're at, and you're going to be moving on this grid here. Depending upon the mission, you might be trying to accomplish different things. Here, you're trying to return Bismarck to Bergen or Brest after turn 15. So you've got to stay out to sea a little bit and then get to one of these 2 locations after turn 15 here. Oh, you can't see that. So you got to return to one of these 2 locations and then get back to one of these two locations by turn 15, and you're staying out here for the most of that time period. But you're going to be on this board as the Bismarck, and then you'll roll up here for the AI, and then depending on what happens, like this is British bombers. So if you're in this zone here, overlap zone, something's going to happen here. Here are convoy hunts, so you're going to run into either the King George or the Ramillies or the Repulse and convoy. So you're going to, depending on where you're located, it depends on what happens with the AI. Here's a heavy cruiser attack if you're up in here. And so you're just going to keep doing this. And then when there's combat, here are the kind of the hit locations for the different allied ships, and then here's your ships. You have the Bismarck, the Prince Eugen, and a U-boat down here. And you have kind of your combat chart there. So that's that. There's different scenarios. Here's mission objectives. So you've got different things that's going to get, you need to earn 3 or more victory points, and you're going to get victory points based on ships you sink and the like. And again, it's very it's very somewhat samey, I guess, but you do have different missions here that you can go over. The game's is going to play different every time because you don't know what's going to happen with the AI. You can make these different decisions down here. So this is interesting. I mean, the Waterloo one I was okay with. I'm really a big fan of Napoleonics and Waterloo, and done a lot of study on that. And I like that game. It's pretty light. This one looks, to me, a little bit more interesting because it looks like there's a little bit more interaction. I like how the AI is a little bit more, not necessarily random, but kind of random. I mean, it does different things that you have to kind of plan for, but you can plan for it by where you locate yourself, but you might actually need to be somewhere at some point, and these are going to eventually kind of get to you. So this one I'm a little bit more, I'd like to see, I'm a little more interested in how this plays. The Waterloo one I think is fine, but I don't know, it felt a little samey after a while, but there's a lot of scenarios in there. There's like 12 different scenarios in there, and you can play different sides and stuff. So it's all what you're interested in. I will say there's some comments I think on my Waterloo one that someone said, hey, this was overpriced and felt a little bit samey, or maybe this one was overpriced, or all these kind of book games are kind of a little bit overpriced, given what you get there in the anywhere from $25 to $35, depending on where you get it. Again, they're distributed through Amazon, but sometimes you can get it through third parties as well, or Amazon might have a sale. I got these for under $30 due to some sales and what have you. It depends on what you're looking for in a game. It doesn't have the components. You got to supply, as it says here on the front of the game here, front of the cover. Requires 2 dice, a pen, and a sense of adventure to play. So I mean, there's no components. You just got these pages. You got to figure out how you want to recreate the pages or preserve the pages. Some people are saying trace paper. Some people are copying. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I kind of played this one. I made a copy and was just kind of, marking up that. I'm one of those people that are kind of anal about destroying stuff. I really can't play legacy games. That just, drives me nuts to have to tear stuff up or put stickers or, write on boards. I don't know, just something about that I have a hard time getting over. Even some of the escape games that I played the ones that you don't destroy, and that they're use kind of an app, and so you can put them back together, like the unlock and stuff like that. So, destroying a book, or writing in a book, these especially, because they're like one page per scenario. This one is just several pages of the same thing. So, I mean, you can actually kind of write in this one and it's not that big a deal, but even that kind of bothers me. This one bothers me even more because, that's it. That's the scenario. So, anyway, what you get for your money with these, there's a lot of good gameplay in here. If you're not a solo player, then you shouldn't even be looking at this. This isn't going to be your bag. But if you like playing solo games, then this are fine. They're not super involved. You can play these in a matter of minutes. Really depends on your own pace and your own decision making that you do on these. You can probably play one of these in 30 minutes, or less, depending on how you make your decisions, or how the AI is responding to you, and it might kick your butt pretty quick. But for $30, you might be able to find a war game out there with components and the hex encounters and all the stuff you're used to. These are different than that. I mean, these are more for light play, kind of a filler war game, if there is such a thing, for solo enthusiasts that just like to and people that like kind of choose your own adventures or what if type books. And I've got some of those on videos on my channel talking about some of those games. This is more in that line. So, you kind of get what you want. Do I think it's worth it? I need to play this one. I am more interested in this one. This one, I for what I paid under 30. I thought it was fine. I like it. I still need to figure out how I want to preserve the pages a little bit better and come up with a better system for that. But so far, I'm liking these, and I think these are good. I'd be interested to see how far they go with these. As I said, there's stuff that's gone on before in this space, but this seems to be kind of a resurgence or a resurrection of this kind of model, basically maybe due to necessity. But it'd be interesting to see where this goes and what else they're doing with it, and see if any other publishers kind of pick up on this or do similar things to this. So in the general Euro gaming hobby, some of these kind of concepts have been out there. Especially like in the RPG type sense, For Against Darkness and For Against the Great Old Ones, and some of those kind of games feel kind of like these books. They're self-contained solo games or adventures. So it'd be interesting to see what war games do with this. So hey, thanks for spending some time with me, having a cup of coffee or whatever beverage you enjoy. And Happy New Year. I hope all of you have had a safe and happy holidays. It's not the safest time right now, but I hope all of you guys are being safe, spending some time with your family and loved ones, and or people important to you, and hopefully looking forward to a better 2022. Of gaming and being with people you care about. I know I am, and looking forward to that as well. And, I've got some interesting content I'm going to start working on. I kind of took a little bit of a hiatus at the latter half of 21, but I'm going to try to pick up on some stuff in 2022. I've got some stuff planned, but it's just a matter of working through some family matters and the like, and getting to a point where I can get, spend more time with you guys and get a little bit more content out. So another note, right before the holidays, I broke over 500 subscribers. I'm not, not into this to get subscribers. So it's more of just an interesting hobby or augmentation of my wargaming hobby is, you know, doing this YouTube stuff. I started this up during COVID as just kind of a way to have an outlet to talk about war games and focus on some of my wargaming hobby as opposed to, I have a lot of other hobbies as well, but gaming in general, but wargaming specifically. And this has been a great experience. I've loved spending time with you guys. I've loved your comments. Please keep the comments up. I like subscribers because I find it interesting to see how many people are going to subscribe to this. And I like getting more ideas on other comment or commentary or even criticism on what I'm doing and how I'm doing stuff and can I do stuff better. So I appreciate all that. But most importantly, I appreciate you guys spending some time, you know, looking at these and, you know, whether you like or subscribe or whatever you do, you've spent some time, you know, with me looking at this stuff, you know, maybe having a cup of coffee every once in a while. And I just want to say I appreciate you and looking forward to more in 2022. Thank you.
Thanks for watching.